to understand Bangladesh or Bangladeshis or Bangladeshi culture at all. However, I have traveled more of your country and seen more of Bangladesh than most Bangladeshis have. And just a word, your country is beautiful, it's vast, it varies from north to south to east and west in some really amazing ways. And as a nation, as a country, you have lots to be proud of and lots to look forward to in your future. Now, I've started reaching out to students, and you'll find I do a lot of it. I engage on Messenger, engage in discussions with students on Messenger. I have spoken at the University of Barishal. I'm at Jahangirnagar today, and I have 4 or 5 more universities lined up within the next few weeks. I'm not an attention seeker. There's some things that come with only walking the streets and having been to multiple places and having gained some insights that you won't necessarily find from a book. So I'm reaching out to students in Bangladesh, and over the next 1 year, 2 years, I will make an effort of trying to impact your lives as much as I can by giving you the opportunity to think beyond the classroom. Because at some point you are going to graduate, some of you, maybe some of you a bit later, but you'll graduate and then the world will hit you. As I mentioned to your faculty this morning, everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face. Mike Tyson. So there's some realities and some things you need to face, and I hope to share that with you. On the topic of leadership across cultures, I was going up and down in my head as to how to approach this. Like I mentioned to you, I don't want to have an academic discussion. So I sat down, closed my eyes, and just thought about the last 20 years, what happened. Before I get to that, I want to go back several hundred years, if not 1,000 years. No, I'm not that old. But in ancient times, there were explorers, travelers, getting into their ships, crossing the oceans, looking for new worlds, new islands, new cultures, new products, new markets. It's been going on for centuries. Now, when those first explorers traveled the globe, every time they found a new country, new continent, new island, believe it or not, they found 3 things in common across all of them. And me being an explorer, having traveled so much, yes, I've worked in 23 countries, but I've been to more than, well, I think now 55 countries that I've actually visited. I've identified 3 things that you find everywhere. Firstly, the first time they arrive on a new continent or a new island or a new country, they find music, indigenous music that is owned to the people. Secondly, every one of these cultures had religion. Some kind of religion, whether they were worshipping the moon, the sun, or a tree, or whichever form of deity it took, but they had religion. Thirdly, every one of these cultures had a leader or a leadership structure. Now, today, I'm an explorer, but fortunately, I don't face the issues the ancient explorers faced. In those days, you get to an island and you find an island full of cannibals, and you become breakfast, or you get sacrificed to the volcano. Fortunately, nowadays, it doesn't happen anymore. I arrived in Bangladesh, no cannibals. I wasn't sacrificed to any volcano. But found your music, religion, and leadership structures. Religion I won't touch on, I'll mention to you later why not. Music, you don't want me to sing. If I start singing, we'll empty the auditorium immediately. So let's focus on the leadership part. Every culture had leadership. Which brings us to the topic that the world we live in today is no different than the ancient times when explorers, like myself and yourselves, arrive in a new country. The dynamics have slightly changed, apart from the cannibals and the sacrificial routines. The dynamics have changed since ancient times. What are the dynamics? Let's say a few hundred years ago, the Queen of England gave a mission to a ship captain and said, go find us a new continent. Head east, head west. They have no idea what to expect. So they'll get on their ship, they'll start sailing in the direction, navigating the ocean until, look at me, please don't be distracted. Shall I down? Please focus here. When they arrived on the continent, they had no idea what was waiting for them. Nothing. Today, the modern day explorers, the modern day cross-cultural leaders, cross-cultural travelers, at least have access to information about where they are going before they're going. I saw on one of the stairwells in a building just now, thank you Google, thank you Wikipedia, thank you copy and paste, right? It is not much different when you are like me. Spend a lot of time doing research before you go. But why? In 2004, I was picked up from rural South Africa and sent to Vietnam for 3 months. Given a plane ticket, said you fly, you arrive in Vietnam, take a taxi, here's the address of your hotel. The next morning you report to this address, there's the office. There was no preparation, there was no coaching, no advice, nothing. Those days, 2004, internet wasn't as big as it is now. Personally, in my job, I didn't have access to the internet, so I could not go and do much research about Vietnam. Basically, I had only one question that time: what do the girls look like in Vietnam? Right? But at my arrival at 1 o'clock in the morning in Ho Chi Minh City, I got the shock of my life. Why? Everything was different to what I was used to. Firstly, it was hot and humid. I sweated like I'm in a shower all the time. It was noisy. There are motorbikes everywhere and hooting and buzzing around you, and you feel any second you're going to get run over by someone. I walked into a hotel room at around 2 a.m. and it's absolutely different to any hotel I've ever stayed in. The bathtub wasn't attached to anything, it was moving around the room. I had to move it under the tap and open the tap and lift the bathtub to get the water inside. By 3, 4 o'clock, I was cursing because my window was facing a main street, Ho Chi Minh Street in Ho Chi Minh City, Nguyen Kim Minh Kai Street in Ho Chi Minh City. Busy, noisy, cannot sleep. And I thought, what is this? When do these people go to sleep? Next morning, 7 o'clock, at 6:30, meet 5 other people that also came from Africa. Meeting them the first time in the lobby of this hotel. Walking to this address they gave us to find the sales office. That morning I learned my first lesson. Before you as a person who wants to cross cultures, to master cross-cultural leadership, do some homework. Prepare yourself to understand there are certain things that are going to be very different to what you are used to. Second thing I learned that morning is there are only 2 kinds of modern day travelers. We call expats or expatriates. There are only 2 kinds. Those who get the expat opportunity, which many of you will, and on day 1 or within the first week or 2 say, no way, this is not for me, and they run, and they never go back. The second type is they get there and they say, I like this. Now that morning, as the group of 6, we were walking from our hotel to the sales office. I had 5 people with me, and to the group I said, guys, I'm going to stay here. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. And guess what? A 3-month project in Vietnam, studying in Bangladesh, 19 years later, 20 years later, 23 countries later, I never went back home. I had to visit, of course, but I never returned home to go and work in my own country. So each one of you, or many of you at least, as you finish your graduation, you are going to spread your wings and you are going to explore within Bangladesh, outside of Bangladesh. Those who take the opportunity, get the opportunity and grab the opportunity to go abroad, my advice to you would be grab it with open arms, embrace it. It can be the life-changing experience that no school, no degree, no university can teach you. And within the first few days, you'll know if you are number one or number two. You're going to run or you're going to stay. What happened to my notebook?